So welcome to the Inside of Lunchbox series. These videos give you an inside view of people of our organization. Today I'm meeting with Phil McGahey, our VP of Sales, and I'd love to dive in and help you learn more about him. So Phil, thank you so much for taking time with me. I really want to start off and ask a little bit about your career path. Help us understand what motivated you to pursue a career in sales.
Interestingly enough, my dad actually was a salesperson growing up. And then on top of it, he actually started a software company, software reseller for AutoCAD. And, as part of his role, he was the chief sales officer, being the owner there. And just watching him do what he did and just kind of being inspired by his work ethic. And then on top of that, the way he's provide for his family. And then just past that, as I kind of transitioned through baseball and school and jobs, there was this natural ability for me to be able to converse with people. And then on top of that, when I got into other jobs like waiting tables and working at Jamba Juice and things like that, it was very natural for me to interact with other people. I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed adding value to their life. So as a result of that, it seemed like a natural transition into sales. And I haven't looked back since. So it's been like kind of a sales role for me ever since I kind of graduated high school and into college. And I just enjoy the profession.
That's wonderful to hear. And I love hearing that because you have an infectious personality. You have this way with the group, you command them when we're in, but it's a way of bringing people together and just kind of bringing out the positivity in them. So I can see how this is so natural for you, but it also helps to grow up around that, right? To see it day in and day out, which many of us end up going down similar paths of our parents in many cases. So thinking about your career and then considering Lunchbox, tell us what brought you to us.
So I had the pleasure of working for another great company in the space called Punch. They got acquired by PAR, and I loved working with them. I think prior to that, I worked for a company called Cardlytics, right? And that company, when I got in there, it was very early on in the stages of the organization. And then being a part of an organization and seeing it scale, right? From literally billion in the thousands, all the way up to IPO and being a $4 billion market cap was a wild ride. Like it really was. It was fantastic. Coupled with the fact of being in the restaurant technology industry, I looked at Lunchbox, looking at the marketplace. And even though I love my friends at PAR and Punch, there was an opportunity, in my opinion, to find that lightning in the bottle again, catch that lightning in a bottle like I did at Cardlytics. Besides that, when you look at all the tools and the personnel and the moves that Nabil's made and the Lunchbox teams make, it does seem like it's like a rocket ship about to take off. So when I did my assessment upon coming over here, it's like, gosh, such a fun brand, so exciting. And then when you look at Nabil and how he wants to help others out, help restaurateurs out, there's an underlying passion to help people, right? And kind of back to my previous comment about getting into sales, like if you're a good salesperson, you should really help people. You should help people solve a problem if you're doing it ethically, in my opinion. And, coming here, we're solving problems for a lot of our restaurants as a result of it. So twofold. One, because I believe in the CEO's vision of helping organizations grow and scale businesses to help the restaurateurs out, right? On top of that, the opportunity to work for a company who, it is a rocket ship about to take off. So it's very exciting from that perspective too. But that's 100% why I came over here, Sandy.
That is a reason why many others have come over here as well. So I know for me, when I'm speaking to candidates that are looking into positions that we have, I let them know how much we're rooted in restaurant culture, right? So being able to fit into the core values of the organization is onefold, but two, if you're in support of what that mission is, which ours is to help the people that feed the world. So great to hear that. Yeah. So when you think about your team and the things that you've accomplished and the goals that you have set for the year, what is something that you're looking most forward to in, over the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, we're very much in a position to scale our enterprise business, right? We have a lot of happy, SMB and mid-market companies that we're already working with, right? We can take that Lunchbox magic and scale to the enterprise space. And we're doing that through a lot of different angles. So, professionally, I would say it's our ability, and we're already doing it, to start scaling the enterprise business, right? Being able to make sure that we work with the top brands that are out there, take that Lunchbox magic and go up channel with it, right? So I would say that some of the stuff we're doing right now, some I can't mention, but some other things that we're doing in regards to our product suite, like catering and order aggregator, we already have a place at that table. We just need to help other people understand that. And I think that's part of my excitement. And what I'm very excited about for this year is like, all right, we're going to help all these larger brands realize what these smaller brands are doing as well. Past that, personally, I'm just excited to, continue to, see my kids grow up and continue to, enjoy the sunny California weather.
Yes. So. Thinking about the accomplishments of your team, what you've accomplished since being in a role, being VP of sales, it's a big role to take on. What would you say you're most proud of accomplishing so far since being here at Lunchbox?
I don't want to put words into Bill's mouth and other leaders' mouths, but they said that this feels like the sales team that is going to be the right fit, right? They feel like we're operating at a level that we need to operate at to, really scale the business. So I think when you're looking at what I'm most proud of at Lunchbox, I think it's, frankly, frankly, with your help, getting the right people in place. Right. It does feel like we have a very cohesive team, from the BDRs to the SMB team, to the mid-market, to our sales operation individual, our sales enablement, across the sales organization and our partnerships, not even mentioning that. I think the team that we now have built is one of the best in breed in the industry. And I think, it's not all me by any means, but I was definitely a part of it. And I would say, frankly, our team's effort in, getting the right personnel in place to accomplish the mission that we just talked about. So easily the most thing I'm proud of is just what a well-oiled machine we have right now, and then the personnel, and then how we're just working cohesively together. It's just, you can't find that with every organization, and we have it right now.
Right. In any position you can be in at any organization, you go through great times, you go through tough times. Motivation is something that is different for everyone. What keeps you motivated?
I'll be transparent. So probably about 5 or 6 years ago, right? I was kind of doing one of those, I was reading Grit, right? It's a great book, Angela Duckworth, right? And it was just kind of talking about, different, opportunities and perseverance and what grit really is. And, kind of had me doing some personal reflecting when I was up in Bend, Oregon on a family vacation, about what my life mission is, what my goal is as an individual. Like, what do I get most reward from, right? And what I found is that truly helping others succeed, right, and giving, right, and volunteering and whatnot is truly one of the most rewarding experiences. That always hasn't been the case for me, right? I mean, I'll admit I was kind of a little of a hooligan when I was growing up, right? Focused more on Phil than others. And, through being a father, being a parent, being a husband, and then on top of that, just kind of embracing that lifestyle of serving, right? And I think to be an effective leader, you have to have kind of a servant mentality. So I wrote that down as kind of my mission statement, that I want to make sure that, every time I interact with somebody, that their day is hopefully better by interacting with me than it was before, right? And that really does drive me. It does help me when I'm selling, making sure that, when we're talking to these people, that we get to the root problems that they're trying to solve for, right? And if we don't have a solution, then we're not a right fit for them. So what drives me is, frankly, just helping individuals, not only from a client perspective, from a rep's perspective. Taking someone that's young, like we have a gentleman who's only 22 on our team, right? He went from a BDR, right, to an SMB, and now he's already got promoted to the mid-market. That individual at 22 years old has a path to provide for his family the rest of his career, right? And so that's very rewarding too. Now, not gonna lie, if you do well in sales, there's a financial carrot as well. So that's a benefit too. If you do it right, you can make as much money as a doctor in sales too, and not go through all those years in debt of medical school. So that's what drives me.
I've heard many stories that are similar to this, right? And I'm actually realizing how aligned we are, and just even in my role compared to yours, is I get a lot of happiness for me is seeing people succeed, helping people get through some difficult moments in their career, or maybe just planning out what, the next 3, 6, 9 months will look like for them, and helping them achieve those goals. I will tell you that I haven't always believed in myself. I think we all have gone through, portions of our life where we're like, is this really what I'm meant to do? And then I've always had that one person that said, absolutely, Sandy, I know, and I can see you in a role like that. So I could see where that mentorship part of your personality does help as well, because, your success is also based on your team's success. So it's wonderful to hear your perspective there. I think about people that view these videos, right? I know that I'll sit back and watch videos day in and day out, just trying to learn something new. There may be somebody out there that's either starting their sales career or thinking about a career, or maybe they're very tenured in this and going, gosh, I want to be a VP of sales someday. What advice would you give someone who is interested in being down the career path you're on, or being in the position that you're in?
I would say sales isn't right for everybody. Right. And I think a lot of people look at some of the lifestyle that you can live by being a successful salesperson, especially in enterprise sales, and they feel that that's what I want to do. Right. And then you get into it, and it takes a different kind of individual who is okay with rejection constantly, is okay to grind. You have these sprints of just grinding. And if you're not that individual and you think you are, sales is going to be very hard for you. right? It's not the right profession for you. I mean, it is what it is. It's a performance-based industry, right? So my advice would be to someone who's interested in sales and is not into it, start from, earn your stripes, so to speak. Start with a more transactional role, something that either is a lot of door knocking on the phone, something that is kind of that grind that you want to get a lot of touches in front of a lot of people, and just make sure that's right for you, because that's the hardest, right? The entry level stuff. Being a BDR at a SaaS company, that's a great way to see if you have the chops for sales. And if you keep smiling and dialing month over month over month, and you have that natural intuition to be able to understand a problem and provide a solution, if it makes sense, then, I think that makes sense from that perspective. The other advice I would have, just, that's sales, right? Sales leadership. I had an individual I worked with in the past, great individual, great seller, great family guy. Right. But, when I asked him, like, hey, we both wanted to be managers at the time. Like, why do you want to be a manager? Right. And he's like, I can't wait to be part of the big meetings. I can't wait to be able to have the authority to say whatever I want. And when I was hearing that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's not the reasons I would want to be a sales leader. Now, that individual got promoted and, they did not do well. Right. They did not do well because, kind of back to our earlier conversation, you really do have to be kind of that servant leadership kind of mentality to be good in this position. You're not going to thrive. You got to get into the weeds with your reps and your personnel. You got to be able to have that, in my opinion, have that mentality of, hey, I'm gonna mop the floor with you. I'm gonna clean the toilet with you, right? And if you don't, then it's probably not right for you from a sales leadership perspective too. And the other thing is just you got to be able to be patient, with people, with leadership, with yourself at times, right? And just make sure you don't have a knee-jerk reaction to some of your thoughts there too, because sometimes things got to play out. But again, I think it does come down to just making sure you're right for the role. And then, specifically to sales and sales leadership, is like, you really got to care for people and you really got to want to see them succeed, not only your clients, but your reps. Otherwise, you're probably not going to be a good sales leader.
Great words of advice. And I really do appreciate that, Phil. And you're right. There are places you can start. BDR, it's a great position. A former company I was with, that's where we started everybody in sales, even if they were on the fence about whether or not this was for them. And you find out pretty quickly whether or not it's for you. Yep. I'll tell you, some of the best people in sales were the ones that did have those positions where they were knocking on those doors physically and selling solar or selling some other product door to door. And it can be very lucrative. So if those two things align, I can imagine somebody wanting to down this path. So I appreciate you taking time to speak with me, just so people can get a better idea of who you are, what your role is in this company, how you're adding value, things that you are proud to accomplish, and of course, this advice that you're giving folks. So thank you so much for taking time with me.
100%, Sandy. You're welcome.